Around, but that's that player is Nick Brassack. So our next award is our top rookie, and then. When I came up playing, the rookie was always kind of the guy that took the bags and took the water bottles and all that stuff, but it's not the case here. You can have a rookie that's a junior, you get a rookie that's a senior. I mean, it's just, there's so many things that can stand out there. This award is designed for the player who in their first year has a positive impact on the team and their individual game. This player is one that has shown promising development on and off the ice, consistently works to get better every day. Player started out a little slow this year, and and I think you probably agree with that. But towards the end of the season, he came on and did some scoring that is quite unbelievable. And some of the points that he put up towards the end of the season. And that player is Noah Shelby. So the next award we're going to give out Mr. Hustle. Okay, this award is designed to go to the player that just never stops going. The player that sacrifices his body for the good of the team, whether it's blocking shots or going into places on the ice that require grit. The corners in the front of the net. You just know that the player is going to give you everything they have every shift. I talked about this kid earlier on, and this award might change names as it goes, but Mr. Hustle again this year is Bogey.
Tom asked.
All right, so the next award, top defensive player. This award is designed to go to the most qualified defensive player, a player that has a positive plus minus, a player that has a presence on the ice in the defensive zone, a player that is consistent every game, and a player that takes pride in their defensive responsibilities. Again, this player challenged him last summer, and he accepted the challenge. He came in, eyes open, eyes wide open, ears wide open, listened, followed, got stronger, got better, took a pride into his position. I can't say enough about this kid and how he went through. He's impressed every one of us up here on what he's done from last year to this year. And that player is Tage, guitar. All right. So this past Sunday, I go to a meeting. It's 1 o'clock at that Granville. There's that name again, and it was kind of a different feeling this year going into that meeting Sunday. If we ever have a few beers, I have lots of stories. It's all good. So we go in there and we talk about all conference awards. And the I think it was 6 teams. 6 teams in our Tier 3. We sit down and we put our players out there, and we argue and battle and talk about why players should get it. So get their awards. Our first one, that means there's more. Well, actually, the first one was Monica. But the next one is, in his first year, he showed that he can find the back of the net. He knew that he could score, but at the rate he did towards the end of the season was pretty remarkable. He ended up with over a goal a game. When he is focused and playing on his game, it's pretty hard for teams to keep him off the scoreboard. And that all-conference player, Noah Sheldon. 24 goals, 18 assists, 42 points. So, like any first-year player, until you get into the thick of the things, you really don't know what kind of player you're getting. He was always on time. He's always worked. His compete level was always there. His leadership traits were there. A calming demeanor. Great sense of humor. Which I want to share one of the funny things. So we're at home. Played a game and lines out there, and I tend to talk behind the bench and I poke fun, but I'm actually delivering messages as I'm poking fun. And call for a line change, and Vandy's out on the ice. Vandy gets over the red line, he dumps the puck in, and he takes off. And I'm going, forward. Boy, he hears just as good as Veltema does. So I'm having fun with that, and I'm pointing, and Veltema's right in there, and I said, look, he didn't even, Veltema, did you hear it? This kid turns back and said, Coach, he didn't hear it. Which is kind of funny. This kid, again, he came in 10 goals, 26 assists, 36 total points, Nick Rassak. This player here, he brought the compete every time he touched the ice. It didn't matter if it was a game or a practice, this player brought it. He dictated the intensity in practice and games. He kept players on their toes. What everyone sees in the games, he brought it into our practices. That's Clayton Bowricker. So you get into these meetings, and there's only 20 total players. You got 6 teams, and there's 20 total players that they do. They usually set it up 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goalies, and that's where you go. So then you get honorable mentions after that. So you're sitting there and you're trying to plead your cases for your players. This kid here, he had a 9-3 record. He had 2.61 goals against average, and what I consider good as a goaltender is 90% save percentage or above. He had a 90.5 or almost 91%. He brought his compete level up a notch this season. Most, if not all, the goalies I know can be described as head cases. At times they have tendencies to beat themselves up mentally or overanalyze every little detail. Cade, he was no different. Once he figured out the control in his head, it allowed him to perform at a level that he's capable of. And I'm challenging him this year. I'm going to put it all out in front of you that I'm on a 92% save percentage. Cade Elliott. Again, with the numbers, we have another honorable mention. This is a player in our team that brought a different skill set. He's a crafty, dynamic player that brought our penalty kill a different look with his reading and reaction abilities, and also worked well in our power play. Sees the ice very well, competes hard, and is not afraid to go to the difficult areas on the ice. Jackson Boltoff. So, get close to the end. Trying to go as quick as I can. Go warm up here, but some things happen. I had this at the beginning last year, but this year we're doing it here at the end. So there's a lot of things that that go on in the dressing room that we try to make that dressing room as professional as we possibly can for these players over there. We try to have it clean. We try to have their jerseys hung up, washed. I mean, just taken care of. So when they walk in, the only thing that they have to worry about is what we're asking them to do on the ice. We try to remove every excuse that we possibly can. We provide skate sharpening, the cleanliness, the whole, like everything that we can possibly do for these players, we try to do. And sometimes we go above and beyond with things, but we try to make sure that we remove all excuses so that they can go out there and perform to their utmost ability. One of the guys that helps us out with that, and I want to thank you. And he took over some big shoes, and he did just well this year. Was Craig Terpstra. Well, I can get to these guys. Last year I told you all stories about how we all came together to do this staff thing, and this year it's no different than any other year. I think throughout the year, each one of them had probably at one time or maybe two or three really didn't like me a whole lot. So just to let you all know, I try to hold them as accountable on the ice for what they're doing, but I also have it out with these guys too, and it's not all laughs and smacks on the back and all that stuff. But each time, I bet you they can tell you stories where they didn't like me at all, and I appreciate them because I want them to know that what they bring to the table is something that's very special and something that's needed to help these players over here get a different voice, maybe a different talking to. When there's something that happens with the player, we'll discuss it as a group and say, how do we best attack this? How do we best hit this? Each one of them serve their purposes, and they go above and beyond at times to make this a good staff and a good fun environment, learning environment, and fun environment for your players. Scott Tiefenthal, assistant coach. So that gets us down to the end. Now, last year I sent out an email that I really wanted our Jenison hockey program only to focus on our summer and our winter. That really hasn't changed. I understand that there's players and there's parents that say, hey, we wanted to go play spring, we want to go play fall, we want to do that stuff, and I don't have any problem with that. It's just not going to be something that Jenison's going to back or be involved in. Grand Valley will roster whatever you want with that, but I'm a proponent of our kids getting away from the game, doing some other stuff. I'm a proponent of our kids getting stronger. I'm a proponent of our players. We had some injuries this year that that we've dealt with throughout the year, and some injuries that took us out the season, and some injuries that are nagging injuries. And I'm a proponent of saying if we're working out and we're getting conditioned and we're getting our bodies as strong as they possibly can and getting ready for that next season, that we can put 25, 26, 27. I think the end of it is 29 games together. 29 games together where we're competing solidly as a full unit, 100%. When it gets down to it, it matters most. So, not against the spring and the fall, but I'm just letting you know that if you do that, if we're doing the summer, I want full commitment into the summer. And if we're doing the fall and you don't have a fall Jenison activity or Jenison sport, I'd like full commitment in that workout too. So when we're getting ready for the season. Summer League, I'll get details to come out soon. Once we sort that out, tryouts and all that stuff will come out. You all will be on the email. Again, I thank all you parents for all your efforts this year in getting your players to the rink. and supporting what we're doing. The players had a fantastic year. Next year, I'm looking forward to making some real noise. So let's just get ready for next year.